All right, guys, we are officially now. Do you want to count it down? There's no ball that's going to drop. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Whatever it is.
It is the trade deadline, everybody. Get your fax machines ready. Check to see what A.J. McCarron is doing. The trade deadline has passed. It is 4 o'clock in the East. We have some new information. Tom Pelissero tells us that the Redskins gave the Packers a 4th-round pick for HaHa Clinton-Dix, their 2014 first-round pick out of Alabama. So Clinton-Dix goes to Washington to join a defense that is chock full of Alabama players. Also, the Ravens have cut linebacker Albert McClellan, who, Ian, they had brought back in recently to make room for Ty Montgomery. So last year we found out about Kelvin Benjamin a couple of minutes after the deadline. Ian, do we think there might be another trade that somebody snuck through?
Yes. No. We do.
No. Yes.
We
no.
do not know. Let me just say that we do not. Sorry, I'm getting made fun of by GM because Pelissero beat me on the trade compensation for Clinton.
Who's making fun of you? Who's making fun of you? Call him out.
I can't say, but a high-ranking source just made fun of me.
A high-ranking source just made fun.
The Bills
Fight
did
back.
not. Yes, the Bills did not make a trade. I know that. So we're not going to see them at the deadline. Still checking with every team. But the Patriots, who I know were really active in conversations, also did not make a trade. At this point, it is quiet, although certainly we got a lot of fireworks with a couple big-time defenders going. With HaHa Clinton-Dix going to help the Redskins, who really are one of the surprise teams this year. That helps solidify that secondary, and Dante Fowler goes to the Rams. Couple big-time receivers traded. So hopefully we did enough to entertain you today, Andrew.
I think we're entertained. Tom, you want to entertain me anymore? Any more deals? What do you know?
At this point, certainly we're still waiting, and I have already reached out to multiple people to let me know if they do hear anything that might have gone down, because obviously things can get done at the last minute. There is, of course, a procedure that has to take place with paperwork and everything else. We've seen a few mishaps on that in the past, A.J. McCarron among others. But at this point, you just look at the deals that have gotten done, and I think that above all else, it makes the Amari Cooper trade by the Cowboys still stand out in stark comparison. Now, the Cowboys really believe that they got a young, dynamic player who's going to lift that offense, but GMs, executives in the league were surprised that the Raiders were able to get a first-round pick for Amari Cooper. And you look at some of the deals that got done today, they're virtually all for mid-round picks or combination of mid-round picks outside of the Ty Montgomery deal for a future 7th-rounder. You had Demaryius Thomas go to the Texans for a 4th-rounder, Golden Tate to the Eagles for a 3rd. HaHa Clinton-Dix, who a couple of years ago was regarded as one of the best young safeties in the NFL, ends up going to the Washington Redskins for a 4th. That's just the type of situation you get into, particularly when you've got guys at the end of their contracts. They're in a rental type of situation. If you can get a 3rd or 4th round pick, something you might be able to parlay into something more come draft time, then that's probably what you're looking for.
Or if you're David Caldwell and Tom Coughlin in Jacksonville, if you can get a 3 and a 5 back for a player who you took at 3 overall, who only had 14 sacks, had a full season missed due to injury as well. That's good compensation for a player you may not have re-signed. All right, Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero checking to see if anything got faxed in late, perhaps. In the meantime, we'll tell you who did get dealt today. First off, Demaryius Thomas is going to play in Denver this week, but do so as a Texan. He goes to Houston in exchange for a 4 and a 7. Denver also throws in a 7 and says it will modify the Demaryius Thomas banner in their stadium to thank him on Sunday. Golden Tate is leaving Detroit and going to Philadelphia. Last year, Howie Roseman picked up Jay Ajayi. This year, it's Golden Tate in exchange for a 2019 3rd-round pick. Ty Montgomery, after Mike Silver's piece Sunday night on NFL.com about this fumble and what led to it, has been given away by the Packers to the Ravens in exchange. A 7th-round pick, not in next April, but in April of 2020. The Ravens moments ago cut linebacker Albert McClellan to make room on the roster. And Dante Fowler. Let's get him in there as well. Mention him, the former 3rd overall pick who missed his entire rookie season after tearing a knee, is heading to L.A. He becomes the 7th former first-round pick on Wade Phillips' defense. In exchange, the Jaguars get a 3 and a 5. And I was not laughing. It's HaHa Clinton-Dix going from Green Bay to Washington. The former first-round pick is now a Redskin in exchange for a fourth-round pick. Kimberly Jones, Jeff Chadiha, the aforementioned Mike Silver, and Steve Wyche. I have no doubt that you are taking notes on all of that. We will break in if there are any more trades a la Kelvin Benjamin a year ago. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that's right, Andrew. I mean, right now we're also waiting to see if the Giants and the Raiders have sold off any pieces or traded away any more pieces. But, guys, when you look at some of the trades that we just heard about that we do know about, anything stand out?
Yeah, I thought the Eagles, again, being aggressive and getting Golden
Love that
Tate,
trade
who,
for Philadelphia.
my name is Silver, but I do love the golden one.
Good one. Saw what you did there, Mike.
He is, he's the kind of guy who can energize that offense. And, it was, they have Carson Wentz. It's not like it's not a good offense, but same aggressive mentality that brought them Jay Ajayi last year. And the other thing I keep thinking about is Demaryius Thomas. He's never going to have a safety roll into his side anymore. He's got DeAndre Hopkins on the other side. He should be free to roam for the Houston Texans.
When you talk about energizing an offense, Demaryius Thomas should be able to do that for the Houston Texans after losing Will Fuller to the big knee injury. But I watched him play against the Chiefs this past weekend, and I'm telling you, he looked so disinterested, so unhappy.
Yeah, I don't think he was feeling the situation up there in Denver.
So you hope that he goes there with a new attitude and a chance to play with a really evolving star quarterback in Deshaun Watson. They have DeAndre Hopkins on one side, put him on the other. He will have new life, and that team, which has been rolling in the AFC South so far, it should continue rolling.
You mean having to play with Trevor Siemian and Brock Osweiler and some of these
What are
other
you talking about?
Tim Tebow? They weren't
You don't like those guys?
They weren't motivating Baby Thomas there in Denver?
I think he
Think he's
served
good
his
now with
time.
Deshaun
He served
Watson?
his time.
Is that
He's
it?
For the
free now.
record,
He
Tim
didn't play with
Tebow's-
Peyton Manning.
That's
now.
Tim Tebow is one of the most likable humans. He's a good person.
I love the Rams being aggressive. Fowler's played in a really talented defense, a locker room full of talent. Now he goes to another one that really has a chance in the NFC. I like that. I love, though, the Redskins and Eagles. Lower level deals, and no disrespect there to Clinton Dix and to Golden Tate. But because both can be very important. The Redskins need some help at the back end of that defense. Maybe they just got it in a division that they lead. And the Golden Tate thing, I'll tell you what, Howie Roseman and the Eagles are aggressive. When they need to be, they get their guy. And this has a potential to really help Wentz, I think.
They are so aggressive that Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie got this trade done from Marrakesh. You're welcome. Marrakesh.
Oh, there's a nice little nugget right there.
International men of mystery.
Any ads, you're welcome.
There you go. Well, look, I love the Golden Tate move because, again, I'm a big fan of his. He's a big-time player, yards after contact, makes the catch. They're going to be able to use him in a lot of different ways. I think some ways in a Sproles type of role out of the backfield, where catches short passes and do some things. I want to go back to Washington, too. Let's think about how long they've been trying to address the safety position. Sua Cravens did not work out when they drafted him. They've been trying to fix it. I want to go back to that Monday night game when I was in New Orleans when they got torn apart when Drew Brees set the record there for all-time passing yards. They are addressing a secondary knowing that this is an area that they need to get stronger in. And I think they're going for it right here. They know they've got
it's a division that's theirs to grab. They're leading now. That division doesn't scare anyone.
And they need someone to cover Golden Tate now that he's in Philadelphia.
I think the Eagles are pretty scary.
I understand, but there's no reason the Redskins can't think they can win the division.
Jeff,
no reason.
We saw Green Bay trade away Clinton Dix. Yeah. High first-round draft pick, a player who's been pretty good for him. They weren't nearly as high on him this season as they had been. Part of it is he's got an expiring rookie contract. We know the Packers have traded away some safeties, Micah Hyde, Morgan Burnett over the past couple of years. But what about their decision at this point to trade him within the conference, as you mentioned, Kim, a young player on the uptick? When they're trying to compete, they're right now not even leading their division.
And it's a surprising thing because you look at the way they played against the Rams, and they played them pretty well defensively. Yeah. And for years, this team has struggled with defense, and especially in the secondary. They've got some good young corners there, and Zaire Alexander being one of them.
He's very
so
good.
The idea that they couldn't make it work with Clinton Dix is surprising to me. Now, again, they've got new leadership. They've got new personnel people. There's a lot of things happening in Green Bay that make me wonder what's going on behind the scenes chemistry-wise.
They must believe that they have a better alternative now because, the thought that the Packers are sellers and not buyers right now,
it's not a unique situation.
I'm hoping a trade comes in. My head's going to explode. They must believe that they can be better now without him, which doesn't make logical sense, but they know more than I do.
The option is 12. Right? It's always 12. The
option
is that he will overcome everything that we have to deal with. That's a problem.
12 doesn't like that.
Confirming, by the way, the New York Giants no more moves today. So the so-called fire sale that started when they dealt Snacks Harrison and Eli Apple never materialized. I was told back then it would not materialize. Today, confirmation it did not.
All right, so we'll see if they're going to get any better by keeping the players that nobody else wanted.
We'll see.
All right,
couple of them can be better.
Keep the faith.